I was really hoping I wouldn't have to talk about this clown ever again. But Nick Adams decided to try to find a way to defend Donald Trump in his debacle at an Arlington National Cemetery. And it's pretty damn sickening in my view. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that this guy says he's an American, he's pro-American, he's pro-U.S. Army, pro-soldiers, I wouldn't have a problem. But unfortunately, he's defending a man who isn't pro-soldiers, who isn't pro-America, who isn't pro-everything that we stand for. Now, here's the video he posted just last night, and it's pretty damn sick. Take a look.
Has been made about President Trump's recent visit to Arlington Cemetery. Even more so in the last 24 hours because some disgruntled cemetery official, presumably a Kamala Harris supporter, created an incident and sought to physically block Trump campaign staff. I say presumably because I can't say for certain, as this particular cemetery official has begged not to have her identity revealed. If one were perhaps inclined to be unkind, one might perhaps say she lacks the courage to be known.
This goes without saying, Nick, but have you ever stopped to think that the reason why this woman, if she's a woman, we don't know who she is, who it is, that this person doesn't want to be known, that this worker at Arlington National Cemetery doesn't want to be known, is because she doesn't want to end up like the same way that all of you MAGA have done to anyone who's threatened Donald Trump. Well, not threatened per se, like threatened physically, but threatened Donald Trump by speaking out against him, by not letting him get away with his BS. Has it occurred to you that you and the MAGA have a very bad track record when it comes to threatening people who don't support Donald Trump? Has it even occurred to you about that? Obviously, it hasn't occurred to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be out there defending him. The way I see it in this particular case is the simple fact that Donald Trump shouldn't have been there in the first place. He is not the president of the United States. He is not the man, the president of this country. He's not the leader of this country. He is not the commander-in-chief of the United States Armed Forces. So what was he doing there in the first place? What was he doing there in the first place? Obviously to get a few photo shoots. The whole thing was a photo op. But back to the original point, in this clip, you don't really care about what happens in this country, do you, Adams? You are the type of person, matter of fact, by way of, for instance, those two election workers in Georgia that Rudy Giuliani called out. Their lives have been destroyed. They've been threatened with death. You guys even threatened a judge during the Trump trial. You threatened in New York City. Let me simplify that. The New York City trial in which Donald Trump got convicted. You threatened his daughter. You threatened another judge, the Washington, D.C. judge, in the January 6th case. So is it a wonder that she wants to remain anonymous? That this person who worked at Arlington, who called all this out, wants to remain anonymous? Is that a wonder to you, Adams?
The reason the media are blowing this story up with Unabomber fervor is that this remains a deeply sore point for Kamala Harris. 13 brave American heroes were killed that day. Another 18 were wounded. 13 families forever changed. And not one person responsible lost their job. Even worse, according to the families of these fallen heroes, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris both never reached out.
We all know the 13 people who died during that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. We know all of them. And President Biden and Kamala Harris have met those coffins with the dead when they arrived here in the United States. So you are a liar. But the fact is this: do they deserve responsibility for what happened during the disastrous withdrawal? I'm talking about President Biden and Vice President Harris. The answer is no, they don't, because everyone, including Donald Trump's own people, while he was in office, they all said that it would be a disaster. But more on that in a few moments. Because quite honestly, Donald Trump is responsible. And yeah, I'm going to say it. And I know it's going to piss everyone off out there. But Donald Trump is fully responsible for what happened to those 13 servicemen. 100%. Now, yeah, Joe Biden was president of the United States at the time. But Donald Trump set the whole thing in motion. And I'll explain that in a few moments. But moving on with you, Nikki.
Most Americans rightly believe that if Donald Trump had still been president in August of 2021, this would never have happened. Where strength repels, weakness provokes. And Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are very, very weak people. That's why their supporters in the media, and now some cemetery official in Arlington, have got their nose out of joint, because they know that Trump's visit simply amplified his record and strength and highlighted Kamala's weakness.
Wow. That excuse. If Donald Trump was here, it wouldn't have happened. If Donald Trump was here, those lives wouldn't have been lost. If Donald Trump was president, the dead can rise again. If Donald Trump was here, hurricanes wouldn't happen. If Donald Trump was here, the COVID-19 pandemic wouldn't have happened. Those lives that were lost would have been alive. Is that where you're going with this? Is that your whole argument, Adams? If Donald Trump were the president, the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal wouldn't have happened? Those men would still be alive? I'm going to school you on that in a few moments. Oh, trust me, boy. You're going to be screaming for me to stop. And honestly, I'm not going to. The pain is coming.
There was nothing offensive about President Trump's participation at the invitation of these Gold Star families in an event to mark the 3rd anniversary of this deadly attack. But what is enormously offensive is Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's disrespect, incompetence, and ignorance in this whole situation.
Yes, it was offensive. It was 100% offensive. This is coming from the son of a soldier who has family members going all the way back to their grandfathers who actually served in the United States military. This is coming from someone who spent time among United States Army military veterans, heard their stories, talked to them, sat down. This is coming from a guy who's a strong advocate of helping veterans in this country get off the streets and actually help them. Donald Trump being there was a 100% offense to those Gold Star families. It really was. It was a total and complete offense. It is a spit in the face of every single veteran in this country, every active duty member of our armed forces. Donald Trump has never cared about the military our armed forces. Going all the way back to his comments about John McCain. Now, again, regardless of your politics with John McCain, if you disagreed with him or you agreed with him, I disagreed with him. I have none but the greatest respect for him because he served his country as a United States naval aviator. He fought in a war that no one in this country liked, the Vietnam War. And he did his time as a POW. And how did Donald Trump honor him? By saying that he wasn't a war hero because he likes his war heroes that weren't captured. That was a spit in the face. And you, Adams, completely ignore that? How about the fact that he insulted a United States military veteran who sang the national anthem, who was disabled, who was wounded, and saying that nobody wants to see that? This is coming, real talk, this is coming from me. I've met veterans who were disabled, who were physically hurt, almost to the point of dying. I've met veterans in that condition, and I honor them for their sacrifice and putting the blood where their money was, where their mouth was. We like to talk about duty, honor, and sacrifice like there were punchlines. People like you do, Adams, and people like Donald Trump do. But when you actually meet the people who actually put their lives on the line, it's hard to say those words without those kinds of meetings. Donald Trump, on the other hand, and people like you, Adams, they're just meaningless words to you. And not to mention the fact that Donald Trump, not too recently, said that the civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, is a lot better than the Medal of Honor. And the reason why Donald Trump gave is insulting to our veterans who received it. Because when you get with the majority of the Medal of Honor recipients, they look bad, they look terrible. They were like they're shot, or words to that effect. So for him to be there at Arlington National Cemetery, a holy place, not because it has a bunch of crosses or is endowed with scripture, because it actually has. Now, this is coming from a guy who actually took a tour of Arlington National Cemetery several years ago. That's a holy place, at least into my eyes, because the tombs of soldiers who gave the full measure of their lives for God and country, for the rights that you and I enjoy. And Donald Trump spit on them. He spit on every last one of them. And frankly, it makes me sick. Every time I see Donald Trump there, every time I hear Donald Trump speak of them, it is so wrong.
President Trump wasn't campaigning in Arlington. He was acting like a president and doing the job Joe Biden should never have been given and Kamala Harris should never get.
Now, there's some part I forgot to mention in the last clip, that the families of those 13 men actually invited Donald Trump to be there. Now, I've done my research, and I haven't found anything supporting that. But that being said, if it is true that those family members wanted Trump there, shame on them. Shame on them. And I know I'm gonna piss a lot of people off for saying that, but shame on them for allowing Donald Trump, a man who didn't. Here's the joke to this. The disastrous withdrawal in Afghanistan happened in 2021. Joe Biden's first year as president. And that time, you know how many times Donald Trump visited ever since? Visited their graves? 0. None. Now all of a sudden, we're in an election year. It's 2024. 3 years later, and now he wants to visit them? That was a campaign stop, and it was sick. The only weak one I see is Donald Trump. The only person I see who's weak is Donald Trump. And for the families, if it's true that the families actually invited Trump there, shame on them. Shame on them. But I'm going to give you some facts about the withdrawal from Afghanistan that a lot of people don't know. Everyone wants to blame Joe Biden for. Well, here's the thing. Joe Biden didn't have anything to do with this. And yes, he said he was going to get our troops home. But he isn't the one who laid out the policies that led to that disastrous withdrawal. Adams, you might want to sit down because I'm going to school your ass. Because it was Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, who negotiated it directly with Taliban terrorists and excluded the Afghan army. So you were negotiating, Donald Trump was negotiating with the Taliban about the withdrawal of forces from there, of our forces from there. But why didn't you involve the Afghanistan army about this? When we were out, they would take over. So why wouldn't you want them involved? It was Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, that drew down American forces from 13,000 to 2,500. That's 2,500 soldiers out of the 13,000 that were stationed there. And doing that made them all vulnerable to attack. Something like that was bound to happen. And you know how we know that was bound to happen? Because they were completely and totally outnumbered by the next point. Because it was Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, who released 5,000 members of the Taliban. 5,000. And one of those people happened to become the new leader of Afghanistan. A Taliban became leader of Afghanistan. They were completely and totally outnumbered. Thanks to Donald Trump. Now, this is a controversial one. It was Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, who wanted to invite the Taliban and their leaders to Camp David on the anniversary of the 9/11 attack. Seriously? Are you serious? You were going to invite the people who attacked us, who were responsible for the 9/11 attack, to Washington, D.C., Trump? Again, and Trump, not Joe Biden, agreed to a May 1st exit from Afghanistan, but he bragged he didn't need an exit strategy. Just get him out of there. No. See, that's what you did. That's probably what you missed when you were in that military college when you were a kid, wasn't it, Trump? The fact that you didn't know how to strategize. Something like this needed to be a strategy. Because you just can't willy-nilly load everyone off on a plane and just get them out. That's not smart. But then again, you're not smart at all, Trump, and neither is Nick Adams. And here's the thing that pisses me off the most. You refuse to brief Joe Biden and his transition team on the situation in Afghanistan when he won the election. Not you, Trump. Joe Biden won the election, and you refuse to brief him. That's criminal negligence in my view. But then again, you like to set people up to fail, so, you set up the border to fail. You told your people not to do anything about the U.S.-Mexico border, thinking it'll give you an easy way to elect, but you refuse to... Yeah. And the last point, you shut down every military base. Now, this was Trump, not Biden. You shut down every military airbase in Afghanistan except one airbase, just one. And you had, in that action, crippled our ability to get our assets out of there. Those 13 soldiers, their blood is on your hands, Donald Trump, not Joe Biden's. And now, and again, I'm going to say this again before I close out this video. How many times in the 3 years since the withdrawal has Donald Trump ever visited any one of those soldiers, those 13 men? Between 2021 and 2024 this year? Zero. How many times has he contacted those people? I really don't know. And I don't think we can trust those estimates because here's what I'm trying to say. You spit on the memories of those 13 people, and I hope to God it's not true. If the families let that happen, if the families invited Donald Trump there, shame on them. Shame on them. In this photo where Donald Trump is posing with this thumbs up, I'm trying not to say anything that'll get me arrested or anything else like that by the feds, but if I were there and he did that to my father, my brother, I'd be going to jail. I'd be going to jail with a smile on my face, but I'd be going to jail. With a smile on my face, but now I'm not going to kill him. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to see Donald Trump dead. I want to see him in prison. I want to see him ruined. And that just might happen if Kamala Harris wins this election. But let's just say you spit on our military, Trump. You spit on our war dead. Even if you win in 2024 in this election, that's holy ground. You're not welcome. In this situation with this person who spoke out, who told this campaign person not to do this, not to photograph, that's against the law. But then again, I keep remembering that the law doesn't apply to Donald Trump. It only applies to everyone else, not Trump. That is going to change. You become president, congratulations. You're still an asshole. You're still a scumbag, and I will never support you. But if you lose, Trump, I am personally going to come after you, slap the cuffs on you, and throw your ass in jail, which should have happened years ago. But this should be the thing that breaks the back of every so-called American patriot out there. You guys like to talk about our veterans and talk about our war dead. Now's the time. Donald Trump has spit on our veterans. And Nick Adams, you're letting him. Now, I know you're a native Australian and you could give two shits about our country and two shits about our people. That's on you. But if you think I'm going to allow you or anyone else to spit on our veterans, you got another thing coming, son. And if you want to take that as some kind of a threat, do so. Because I am tired of pussyfooting around these people. I am tired of making excuses for them. I'm tired of holding my tongue. You and Donald Trump and the MAGA crossed the line. And now the price will be paid. You don't give a damn about those 13 soldiers. You don't give a damn about our veterans. And you and the MAGA have shown that. And now I'm supposed to stay silent because Donald Trump does that in front on the grounds of our war dead. He wants to make them into political props. Not going to happen. And every single one of you who vote for him, stop celebrating Veterans Day. Stop celebrating Memorial Day. Stop flying the flags on your trucks. Stop saying you're Americans, because you enabled that. The game is over. The honeymoon is over. CTP, know the truth. Matter of fact, and as for you, Adams, you just showed that you're a scumbag. You probably always have been a scumbag, and you always will be a scumbag. And if you were a man, you would debate me and defend your man, Donald Trump. I don't need to defend Kamala Harris. I really don't. Because I'm going to tell you exactly what I've told every Trumper out there. Now, I may disagree with Kamala Harris on a few things, but here's the consideration. She never made me fear for my life. Donald Trump has. She never made me fear for anyone who supports her. Donald Trump has. And she's never spit in the face of veterans and the war dead. Donald Trump has. So defend him if you will, Adams. Be a man and debate me. Or be a pussy and still kneel down to Donald Trump. Like the coward, like the bitch you are. Debate me, Adams. Balls in your court, boy. Show you got some balls. Or don't. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.